Okay, we are in Ein Yaakov. Please subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up, hit the notification bells. That way, and comment and like. And that way it brings everything high in your YouTube rankings. And you will not miss another class. This is when you say take two. Okay. So it says, we're in Gemara Shabbat, page 63a, chapter 6. Okay. You have it? It says, Amar Rabbi Abba, Rav Shimon ben Lakish. So Rav Abba said in the name of Rav Shimon ben Lakish, Shnei Tamidei, Chachamim HaMashivim Zeh B'Halacha, when two Torah scholars listen to each other, pay attention to each other in the law, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shmeich L'Kolan, so Hashem as Ura hears their voice. How do we know? Shneim Ar Yeshav Beganim Chaverim Makshivim L'Kolech Ha'Shmi'ini. So as it stated, you who dwell in the gardens, the companions hearken to your voice, let me hear it. V'im ein osin kain. And if they do not do so, if they do not pay attention to each other, garmim l'shchina, so they cause the divine presence of God, shmistaleket miYisrael, that it should depart from Israel. Shene'amar, as it says, brach dodiu d'mei, as it says in Shira Shirim, right? So, flee, my beloved, and be like a deer or a young gazelle. So what's going on here? So he says, when they teach each other and gain understanding from each other, that's when Hashem, as it were, listens to, hears their voice. When, on the other hand, it goes the other way, and the proof is that Hashem does is from the Song of Songs, where it says, the gardens are houses of study, and the companions are Torah scholars. And the voice is one of Torah and prayer. The verse is therefore expounded as follows. So, Holy One, blessed be He, says, when you, the congregation of Israel, sit in the houses of study as scholarly companions and listen to each other, then I say in reference to your voice, let me hear it. Let me hear your prayers, and I shall answer them. On the other hand, when they don't do that, when they are opposed, so then, or they're not listening to each other, which sometimes happens. You will speak at people. You won't, even if you sound like you're having a discussion, really you're just trying to up the other guy. So that's no good, and therefore that you cause the divine presence to leave Israel. Now I want to see the juxtaposition here. It's interesting to say. The Gemara is saying, if you talk nicely to each other and you're growing and you're doing l'shem shamayim, I'm there with you. I want to hear that. Once you're fighting for not l'shem shamayim, now you're doing it just to fight, or whatever your cause is going to be, I separate from Israel. Never mind you two, from Israel, because you two represent leadership. And if the leadership can't get along, the rest of them are doomed.
You don't mean leadership in a political sense. You mean
leadership as in religious sense, but it could also be. Could expand that out to be other.
What about knowledge itself? Leadership doesn't come into play in education.
No, it certainly does. The principle is over the manahel. Well, we call a principle in Hebrew manahel. What's a manahel? The guy who drives. He's the one who's driving the bus. So when I was a principal, I created a curriculum for my Hebrew school. And as a result of my creating the curriculum, writing it down, knowing all the ins and outs of what I wanted, I told my teachers this is what I want. I'm the Manahel. I tell you what I want.
You were the direction at that point, but when two people are discussing religious philosophy,
religious law, you want to stay in philosophy, I want to say religious law. Religion. Remember, we're not doing it for... When philosophers argue, they argue about, I have a door handle, can I turn that? It's a nonsensical discussion. We're not interested in that. We're getting to brass tacks. That's what we are. We're a brass tacks religion. We want to know what to do, what God wants from us, period. Now, we will at times go into philosophical discussions as to, okay, I know A and B, but what happens in this, and so on and so forth. We have those discussions, and they normally end off in the Gemara as teku, when we don't know. It's an interesting question. Put it to a side. Why? What does teku mean? So some rabbis say wait till Elijah the prophet comes and he'll answer the question. But really, what it's saying is the answer that ultimately is being given by teku is it's irrelevant. It's an irrelevant point. We're not interested in spending time on this. So teku. That's why, by the way, when you see that in the Gemara, normally they have five. They say in this case, they list the cases, not fleshing them out. Nothing. Boom, 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 and then teku. We don't know.
I know. And what's the context again for this?
Halachic questions that are what we would call pilpul, where it's minutia.
Yeah, it looks like the book after a while, paragraph after paragraph after paragraph, and about commentary and what it means.
No, the question would be, I'll give you an example. I have to remember the example well, because otherwise it's going to mess up. But how does it go? It's the Gemara in Baba Kama. I believe it's in Baba Kama. And it says, I have coins, or it could be, I'm using the vegetables, the fruits. I have the fruits that are around the area of Daled Amma, which would be 8 feet. 8 feet around. Okay? So now, can I collect them on Shabbat or not? Well, they're on the floor. Can I or can I not? So if I do and I put it into a basket, well, that's not good because it's either work or there's 2 reasons given. So then I say, okay, I know that I can't do 4 feet, but what if it's 2 feet, but it's smaller? Now they're trying to parse out, okay, what is it? Is it dimensions? Is it the work? Let's try to prove it. And they go and they either go bigger or they go smaller, but always with the same ratio. So if I know the first ratio, you should be able to drush out, you should be able to extrapolate out to the other areas. But the problem is the reason. So if there's a reason, what's the reason? And so on and so forth. So when it comes, so you have this whole long Gemara, about a page worth, and then it comes out with teku. You're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But really, is this what we all have our time to talk about? Let's do something practical here. And that's what I'm saying. Whenever it comes to teku, it means interesting. We love the enthusiasm of the discussion, but we're not going anywhere. We can't prove it one way or another. So let Mashiach come. Let him decide. But we're not going to worry about it right now. By the way, also, the general rule is whenever they say teku, we go stringent.
Meaning what?
We would say, in that case, you would say you shouldn't do it. In other words, we would go stringent. We would just go stringent.
Err on the side of safety.
Right.
Unless you have permission, you don't really
have
permission.
Right. So that would be the normal thing you do. Very, very, I don't think there's many times that we would go lenient in those cases. Because it was teku. We don't know. But that's what I'm saying. That's as far as philosophical discussions go. We can get into how God operates the world, but again, that is, you're getting that from verses, and even with that, there's never a teku there, because teku means like I said, halachic discussion. When it comes to when Mashiach is going to come, all these other things, we don't know. So there's discussions based on verses, and so you have all these different things that go on. But that's, again, you're not getting into a halachic discussion here. Here we're talking about these 2 Talmid Chachamim who were talking behalacha. It says quite clearly in Jewish law, and they were trying to figure out what they should be doing. So when they're sharpening each other, iron sharpens iron, sort of thing, that's great. So God is very happy about that. When, on the other hand, they're just fighting and they're not listening to each other, so what they're ending up is, by the way, why does it kick the divine presence? Why will the divine presence leave? Because you two have created a profanation of my name. I can't live with this profanation of my name. Because now people think that they can do whatever they want with the Torah. You're destroying my Torah. I can't.
At what point does an open, honest discussion become profane?
It's not open. If it's open and honest, that's when Hashem wants it. It's when you no longer listening to each other, just want to debate to prove your point. But it's not like a lawyer, in American law. They're not interested in the truth. They're interested in defending their client. And they'll do anything they have to win their case. It's not a debate, L'Shem Shemayim. That's clearly, they'll tell you this, they'll admit to that. Okay? But when the rabbis will argue to make their point and not listen to the other side, that's a Chilul Hashem. Right. That's just, but they are our leaders. There's a fantastic Gemara that says there was two Talmud Chacham who were walking, and you had the somebody else, the Nasi, I think, was in the same town. So you would think that everybody's going to come for the Nasi, the president. They're all going to come for the president. Let's go to see the nice guy, okay? The king, whatever it's going to be. And so they're all there. And then they see the two Talmid Chachamim walking. And they leave the king or the president, the Gemara says, and they run after the rabbis. And they're like, what's going on here? This isn't proper. You're leaving the king, the exile. You can't do that. And they said, no, that's the Torah. We're running after Torah. See, even though they weren't at his rank, they were the leaders. So that's what I'm saying by leadership. So you can call it political, you can call it rabbinic, it doesn't matter. Rabbis are seen as the leaders of the Jewish people. And so that's what we're talking about. So that's why when the leaders fight, that's when Hashem says, I'm out of here. I'm not interested in this. That's what this Gemara is saying. It's an interesting statement. So the Gemara, okay, so now we go to the next one. It says the Gemara has spoken about two scholars who sharpen each other, are pleasant, and who listen to each other. Now it's the fourth type. So this is Amar Rav Ava, Amar Rav Yishim ben Lakish, Talmid Chachamim. Hamagdilim says Ba'alacha, when two scholars gather each other, in the law HaKadosh Baruch Hu Havan. So then Hashem loves them. Shneimar v'tiglo alai avam. As it said, His banner is over me in love. So, and which means that a banner around which people rally symbolizes the concept of gathering, which the verse associates with love. From here, the Gemara expounds that when two Torah scholars gather each other, they say one to another, come, let us learn. And between the two of us we shall understand, since we do not have a teacher. Hashem loves them, even though they may not understand as well as if they had a teacher. There you go. So again, the discussion is L'Shem Shemayim. For the sake of heaven, to get to the truth is what Hashem wants. That's all Hashem is asking for.
What if they well-intendedly end up at not quite the right lesson they were supposed to have gotten from that or interpretation?
I'll ask the question, was it their fault that they couldn't do it, or is it because of lack of resources that they couldn't do it?
Well, their only resources each other.
Okay, so if that's the case, so Hashem is saying, even though you may not understand it as well as if you had a teacher, Hashem still loves them for trying. That's the point.
Yeah. All right.
In other words, as each generation, unlike the secular point of view is each generation we move up, the better off we are, because we came from apes. Actually came from amoeba. So each generation away from that, we are more we are, what's it called? Advanced. We're more advanced, right? For Judaism, it's the exact opposite. For Judaism, every generation removed from the Sinaitic experience is more learning disabled. We're instead of advancing, we're regressing. Because we're not close. We're not closest. We're further away from the source of our knowledge than we were before. We're leaving Sinai. We're leaving that revelation. So that generation who experienced that revelation was an extremely high spiritual level, something that we cannot imagine where they were. And so each generation removed from that, we feel at a loss, which is why we look toward our previous generation with such reverence. We don't see them as, you know nothing. We see them as, you know everything, and we have to learn from you. Unlike secularism, where we see, you know nothing, we know everything, and we know better than you. So yeah, you people still think of typewriters.
Yeah.
We don't know what typewriters are.
Radio,
we don't know everything. We have this, which I was just hearing a whole speech about how wonderful this is. You know how much money this costs? About $400. Do you know how much money I saved by having this? I have a TV. I have a movie thing with this. I have a camera. I have a dictation tool. I have the ability to go on the internet. That's a computer right here. I have a whole computer here. I have a calculator. You know how much I would have to spend on each thing. I was just heard this thing on TV, on the radio, as I was coming here. I was saying, it's an interesting point. This literally has everything right there. And if I get into a I have data too, but if I'm into Wi-Fi, I can get to Google Sheets. I can do anything. I can communicate with somebody across the world in real time, like I'm talking to you. Even with the telephone, wasn't that good. When I'm on the telephone, still now, I hear an echo. Here I can go and I can look at the person. WhatsApp or Skype or whatever the Mishigas is. And it's free.
Why don't you come up with an app called Mishigas? Just figure out what it would do.
Right.
What would it do? Mishigas.com.
There you go.
Or no, that would be Mishigas.org, I guess.
No, it could be a .com. But I'm just saying but if you think about that the further we move away from our secularly, the more we remove ourselves, the more advanced we are, the more intelligent we are. We are walking around literally with computers. I think we've lost our brains because of that, but nonetheless. Okay, I'm not sure that's an advancement or regression.
I wish we would walk around with the golden rule instead of a cell phone.
Oh, okay. Those who have the gold have the rules?
No. The golden rule.
I said, the golden rule is those who have the gold make the rules. But it's, but like I said, it would be interesting, and that's the difference between Jewish culture or Jewish philosophy, if you will, and secular philosophy. That we always look backwards and see them as the cream of the crop, and every generation we remove from that, we feel the loss. We can't do anything. Look, I can't talk to Moses. You can't say, hey, Moses, what happened here? I can't do that. But I have my traditions, and I have my Rebbeim, and I look to them to explain what's going on. And I guess that's why we're saying here, when they do that, if they really do it l'shem shamayim, so then Hashem loves them. They may get it wrong. It's possible. 100% possible. Because they don't have the connection that they used to have. But, I still love you for it. That's when real love comes into it, because you're doing it for me. Okay? So, but we go on and we say, Amarava. So Amarava, Vahu Diyadet Sorta Dushmaita. Rava said this rule above that Hashem loves them when they gather to discuss the law, provided that they know the basic features of the subject. And provided they don't have a teacher in the city from whom to learn. Once had a teacher from whom they learned the basic whom they learned the basic concepts, but there is no longer a teacher available. In other words, if you have a teacher available, this doesn't apply. If you have a teacher available, go to the teacher. You want to do l'shem shamayim, don't say you're so smart. Go to the previous generation, learn what you can, and that's it. But with all that, you have to have the basic features of the subject. And he says, provided that there's a bare minimum that they learn from their teacher, the basic concepts of the Talmudic subject that they're studying. Okay. Now, this is an interesting thing, because when Art Scroll came out, Art Scroll's been out for a long, long time. Yeah. Since the early 90s, if not before. Okay. And what Art Scroll did by doing this, and I'm sure Nelson Sherman, the what do you call it? The editor, whatever they call him. Yeah. I think it's the editor-in-chief. What he did was, or what his company did, or whoever was running this Art Scroll, they opened the door to people who never opened a Gemara. You had people who were non-religious. This was probably made for Orthodox Jews, but it blew the market open, because when non-religious Jews realized, non-educated, forget religious, non-educated Jews, they couldn't read Hebrew. When they realized that they could get a Talmud that would actually explain things to them, unlike Cincino just translated, but and others. But this one actually gave notes in English, and notes for idiots, if you will. This is the first Gemara for what's the dummy book for dummies? Gemara for dummies. Okay, the dummy books. But really, they did a beautiful job on it. And how do I know? Because when I was a rabbi in New Brunswick, in Moncton, New Brunswick, so we had, as a rabbi in Moncton, New Brunswick, you also have people from that area coming to us. So we had people on Prince Edward Island. Now this is a day before Prince Edward Island was connected to the mainland by a bridge. It used to be you had to catch the ferry to go. So that was a full day. You had to get the ferry in, ferry out. It was one ferry in, one ferry out. You missed it, you're out of luck. Wow. And it was, now you can get there in 45 minutes, I was told, because they have a bridge that goes there. But it used to be a whole day.
You should have taken the Staten Island ferry, it's faster.
Yeah, it wouldn't get me to Prince Edward Island. Okay. It would come me to Staten Island. So what happened was, on the island, there were Jews. Not many Jews. I think on the whole island, it wasn't even a minyan. Not even a minyan of Jews on the island, as far as I remember. Okay? So, but those Jews, when they wanted to on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, so they would make the connection to Moncton, and they would come and daven with us. I think they were even members of the show.
Did they have Chinese restaurants on Prince Edward Island?
I have no idea.
Because that could explain why there were none of us on Prince Edward Island.
Because if they wouldn't have had it.
Well, there's a connection.
Okay. But so now I'll get to the main point. There were and the Jews did not live in the same area. They only used the islands of decent sized islands, so they weren't in the same area. So, but they kept in touch with each other via telephone, and one of the ways two of them kept in touch was with the Art Scroll Gemara. Non-religious people, never learned.
How?
But because they used a telephone, and they both picked up a Gemara. That was the English. They said, let's learn a Talmud.
Over the phone.
Over the telephone. So they would learn over the telephone. That's how people used to do it. Yeah. They would learn, but they used an Art Scroll, because the Art Scroll was so well laid out with all these notes. That was the beauty of it. And I never really, as a person who learned Gemara in a regular institution, you know, English, what do you leave me alone with English? You learn the Aramaic, you get a jastro, you bang yourself through, you work it through. Okay, you still have a chavrus on the telephone, who cares? But that's what you do. You don't, English is, That was how you looked at it. Our school was brilliant. They brought so many people. I'm not trying to sell our school here. I don't get paid by them, but it's maybe I should go into affiliate selling for them. But it really was their gift to Bnei Yisrael that they got somebody to support this effort. If you look at the beginning, you'll see who supported it. Schottenstein and so on and so forth. But it was really their awareness of American Jewry that said, okay, let's put the Talmud out there for everybody. It really is a beautiful job they did. But why am I saying that? Because here, if you're in a city, first of all, you have to have the basic features of the subject. So in your introduction of our scroll, every single section, they'll give you an introduction. They give you that. They give you that basic foundation of where this Torah is coming from. Otherwise, you're lost. You don't know. If I would open up a Gemara with anybody in the middle and start learning it without giving you a foundation that this from Torah, this from the oral tradition came from God, it's signed at the same time, you're gonna look and say, well, these rabbis had nothing better to do with the talk. Really? They were talking about going to the bathroom. They were talking about how do I do this, how do I do that, and so on and so forth. What to film when I go to the bathroom. Really? You have nothing bad to speak about. Okay? Shouldn't we be a higher, that's sometimes your thing. Shouldn't we be more lofty with our discussions? No, these are basic discussions. But if I don't understand that I'm trying to serve God with this, that everything I'm trying to do is serve God at a higher level, I'm going to miss that. And again, that's part of the basic features of the subject. So now I need even to go further with that. And the other thing is, and I don't have a teacher to learn from. So at that point, this is what these become really invaluable for. Because they give you the basic background, and they also give you some a little higher notes down here, but at the same time, they're also saying, sometimes they say, but you need to go, and they'll just quote where you should look, which means you have to go further. You don't stop here. So, yeah.
No, I just realized I haven't seen I forgot about the format of this book.
Right.
So whereabouts there? All right, well, you keep going.
Okay, it'll be right here. Actually, it's up here, I should say that. There you go. So it's, but I'm just saying that from this paragraph could be where they learned to do that. I'm not sure. You'd have to really ask Nelson Sherman why he was interested in doing this, but it's fascinating. Those two on the island really opened my eyes, and I was back in 1990s. 1990, I was there. So it really opened my eyes to how powerful this tool becomes that we're studying right here. It really is a very powerful tool, and they did a great job with it. So, okay, so now he says, having already presented two dicta of the subject of Torah studied by Rav Av in the name of Rav Shimon ben Lakish, the Gemara says for one more. It says, so Amar Rav Ava, Amar Rav Shimon ben Lakish, Gadol Hamalver Yotim Mina Osef Tzedakah. A lender is greater than one who gives tzedakah, charity. Why? Umatil kos yotim kulam, and one who puts working capital into the pocket of a pauper is more outstanding than them all. And he says here, a pauper is embarrassed to accept charity, but not a loan, since he expects to repay the loan. And he who gives a pauper merchandise or money with which to do business and receives a percentage of the profits is even greater. So what are you doing? In the first case, there's many levels of giving tzedakah. One level, the one we all know of, is I take a quarter, I put it into the tzedakah box, and I've done my job. Okay, wonderful, okay. The other one is somebody comes to you and you give them, somebody's on the street and says, can I have $1? Can I have something? They put the cup up, you put something in the cup. That's low, very low level tzedakah. You fulfill the mitzvah of tzedakah. I'm not arguing what you fulfill, but it's not the level you want to give. And by the way, even if a person says to you, I want $20 to buy a nice steak dinner for myself, and you give him a $20 bill. Here, eat like a mensch. Right? Eat like a mensch. You didn't do anything for him. The expression in English is, give a man a fish, he eats for the day. Teach him to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Okay? That's the Rambam. If I put you into business, that is the greatest tzedakah. That's the greatest level because I've made you independent. And when I make you independent, you're going to give tzedakah to those who need and give them a chance. It's a great economic boost, yeah. I want to employ everybody. Everybody should be employed and nobody sitting on the sidelines. Okay, that's, yeah.
And you put him in business, you're giving him a loan, so you're making him responsible. He's going to pay you back.
So it's two things.
Yeah.
One, I give you a loan. You ask me, you say I want to buy a car. I say, Mr. Orenstein, you are a good risk. I'm going to give you a loan. You say, thank you so much, Rabbi Neville. Okay, great. So now I give you a loan, you pay, and you pay me off, no problem. Okay, because I could have easily just give you the money.
Yeah.
I said, here, you're a nice guy, take the money, so on and so on. But to do that would insult you. I don't want to insult you. I want you. And I also, by the way, don't want you to get used to having gifts. But you also say, I can't accept a gift because it says, there's a line in Proverbs, I believe it is, that it says, those who hate gifts will live long. Hate the gifts. Don't want people's gifts. By the way, there's no such thing as a free gift. We always heard that expression, right?
Yeah.
When I give you a free gift, I expect something in exchange. Sooner or later, I'm going to get you. Okay? But, so that's number one. So if I give you a loan, okay, I felt bad for you. I gave you a loan. Whether or not I expect to get paid back is also a shaila. No. Because normally if I give a loan to somebody, I have to know who it is. But if I give certain people I'll give a loan to, knowing I'll never in my life see that money again. But I'll call it a loan to make you feel good. Okay, that's what this is talking about. But the pauper or the poor person or the one who needs it really has that feeling of sense of obligation and they really want to pay you back, but never, they just don't have the wherewithal to do it because that's what got them in the position in the first place, right? As opposed to the one where I give you working capital, now I become your business partner. Now I'm a business partner. I gave you money so you could do what you have to do. I gave you merchandise to do what you have to do, but I'm expecting something now. Now I want something. It's called a heta iskar at this point. Now we're getting to a little bit of a business deal. Business deals is more responsibility on my behalf, to ensure your success, which is a good thing, because if I just give you money and tell you, here you go, start your business. You don't know how to start a business. That's why you're poor. Think about it. You gave me money. I'll come back to you in a couple of months. I need more money. I need more merchandise. No, you have to. So that's why it's not worth it for me to throw money at you. I have to show you. I have to bring you along. I have to educate you. I have to make sure that my investment is good. That's why it's more outstanding than all of them, because I'm teaching you how to make the money.
On that basis, we would have so many walking corporations in downtown South Bend, it is beyond number.
Why you have to have corporations?
Because we have more people asking for money than than can be counted. So in other words, if each of the people downtown South Bend who asked you for money went into business partner with you, instead of just being a recipient of handout, we'd have a lot of businesses getting started down there.
Oh, so you're saying it's good?
Don't we have 13 rules governing?
Oh, I want to know, are you saying it's good or no good?
I'm making a joke. I'm saying how tragic it is that ours is the only city that has a homeless problem.
We're not the only city. Hell if I wish we were the only city. You have New York, you have every place that is homeless. And by the way, homeless, not homeless, this is way off the topic, but homeless, not homeless because they don't have a home. Some homeless are homeless because they mentally are, there's a mental situation there.
Yeah, I know.
So they can't be fixed up and they don't want a place. There was I know of a person in a town this I'll leave the town out, but that I was told by a relative actually that they would have been put up in a place. They had a place, and they didn't want it. They'd rather sleep on the street. So they was homeless by choice. Now I'm not saying everybody's homeless by choice, but I'm just saying when you're homeless in today's society, it means you don't know how to use the system. The government will kick in so much. If you're homeless, the government will give you everything. The food stamps, the telephones, computers, you name it, they'll give it to you. There's so much service industry out there that just is made for that. So again, somebody who's homeless is the reason that they're homeless. I'm not sure what the reason is, but it's not because of lack of programs or people trying to help. That I'm not going to accept, because I know people who are in that field, and they tell me the same thing every time. They don't want it.
What's social work?
Social work and everything else. They don't want it. That we can't get them to do what they should be doing. Okay, so like I said, but the point is that what we're saying is you want to teach the person how to do it properly, and that is the top level of tzedakah. What were you going to ask besides that?
Don't we have 13 rules governing the giving of tzedakah?
So again, this not rules, levels.
All right.
So the top level would be to give a job, let a person earn his own money.
Yeah, but there also at some point comes into it, and this is what I was getting at, that if somebody comes to you, they stick their hand out, they stick their face in your face, they see each other. One of those 13 levels is that those who need help and that those who give it will not see each other. That each maintains their dignity and their identity.
Yes. So the lowest level is somebody comes to you. Again, they're all giving, but the lowest level is you have money. Somebody comes to you and says, "I need money." You give them the check. That's not the lowest. Excuse me. That's the second to lowest. The lowest is when you begrudgingly give them money.
Oh, I thought you were going to say when you throw it at them or something.
No,
Yeah.
you begrudgingly give them money.
Yeah.
That's lowest. Then you have the second, the third level would be, I believe the third level is, I give money to you, to the recipient, but the recipient doesn't know who the donor is. Then the donor gives but doesn't know who the recipient is.
Yeah.
Then nobody knows the donor, nobody knows the recipient. And then I forget all the 13 levels, but it moves up like that. So the more removed I am from the person, which doesn't cause embarrassment, and so on and so forth, that's going to be higher. But the ultimate highest thing is to give a parnasa, to give the guy a way that he doesn't have to be on the dole. That is the ultimate thing. Get him off the dole. Because when he's off the dole, he has pride. What's it called?
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem. So you're building up his self-esteem. You're doing everything you have to do. And by the way, let's face it also, if I get a person working, that person now becomes a giver instead of a taker.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
And that's what you want to do. You want to get everybody to be the givers, not the takers. If I can break that generational handout sort of thing, then I win. And you're seeing that in America. People are generational takers. Generational takers.
What do you mean by that?
On the dole. Generationally, they're on the dole because they have not been taught how to get out of that, except via crime or inner city crime or drugs or something else. But they're part of a system. They're kept down purposely. I would agree with those who say they're purposely kept down. Maybe I'm a Democrat on that. Who knows? But I that's why I'm independent, right? I hold that they're right there. I think they are held down. I think they're taught that they can't get out of that. And And so if they believe it, and they believe it, people who are poor believe they can't get rich. It's all. By the way, I'm going to say one more thing that I've said 1,000 times on tape and in person. Poverty is a matter of the mind. If I am happy with what I have, I'm the richest guy in the world. And if I'm not happy with what I have, even if I have $3 billion, I'm the poorest man in the world. It's all a matter of perspective. Either I'm happy with what I have or I'm not. So it doesn't mean that but I'll say this also as a writer, just because I'm happy with what I have doesn't mean I shouldn't work to attain more. I'm happy with it. Baruch Hashem, I have what I have. But it doesn't mean I shouldn't try to get something else too. Right? It shouldn't stop me. It shouldn't be, okay, that's all I need. No, I'm going to stop right now. No, you have to continue on. You have to always try to do, because I'm happy with what I have. Now let me help somebody else be happy. And again, it all runs together. And people who are depressed, for the most part, they're depressed because they can't get the Rolls Royce, so they can't get whatever they can't get. They can't get the bowl of Cocoa Puffs.
I don't think that causes depression, but I know what you're saying.
I didn't say cause depression. I said they're depressed. Depression is a clinical word, which I'm just staying away from the clinical definition of depression. They're defeated. They feel defeated. I can't get out of this, and they're wrong. But nobody shows them the way, except I'll give a shout out to the book. Except for Rich Man, Poor Man, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is one of the few books out there, and those sort of books that will teach people how money works, and show you that you don't have to be poor. You don't have to be. Your choice is to be poor.
And what's interesting is that some people can have very similar levels of whatever they have or don't have.
Right.
One of them won't consider themselves poor.
That's my point.
And one of them will go out and kill themselves.
No, but that's my point. That's why in the Pirkei Avot it says very clearly, who is a rich man? And the answer is one who is happy with his portion.
Well, then answer the other one. Then who's poor? One who isn't happy with his
One who is not happy with his portion. If I'm always unhappy, no matter what, that's my point. I could have $3 billion. I could be Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world. I think he's still the richest. Or one of the three. Once he got divorced, he killed out some of his products. But he was the richest man in the world at one time, if not still. He cheated on his wife, which meant he wasn't happy with what he had. So money doesn't buy you love. Money doesn't buy you happiness. That's the point. Happiness is here. It's all here. Richness is all here. And that's what the rabbis were telling us 2,000 years ago. And if people would just listen to the rabbis on that one issue, we'd all be happy-go-lucky. Because we would be happy with what we have. We don't realize that this is what is best for us at this particular moment. Again, it doesn't mean it won't change. Maybe I'm going to hit the mega bucks. Maybe I'll have $500 million to my name. Who knows? I don't know. Yes, Hashem, it should happen. But, maybe it'll happen. So what? Am I happy with what I have now? Yes. But happy with what I have then? Yes. That's the point. You have to be happy with what Hashem is throwing, because that is the best for you right now. So why should I be unhappy? Right? So if I have that philosophy, I win. Okay, we'll have to stop there.
Yeah.